Okay, welcome back. We're now going to look at action plans and tools that help us accelerate business agility. So, Ben, first of all, tell us, how do we accelerate business agility?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, 3 steps or 3 elements to accelerating business agility in your team or your organization. The first, you can look at some lean and agile practices. So whether that's Kanban or whether that's Scrum or whether that's lean thinking or design thinking, you can take some of these frameworks and you can take some of these practices and you can start to implement them. And even if that is just within your team or even just on your own, you can start to bring some of those to life and you can see the benefits of the iterative delivery, the continuous improvement, and the focus on value for your customers or your stakeholders. The second way to drive business agility is leadership support.
Yes.
Lots of large organizations that roll out business agility at scale or agile at scale have really great sponsors in leadership who are going to model those values, they're going to model their behaviors, they're going to champion new ways of working. So if you are a leader in your business or you have a close relationship with leaders, getting their support to start to implement new ways of working and represent those values is a great way to go. And third is a cultural shift. Now, we spoke early on in the course about those agile values, the 4 values and some principles. Now, if you can't do anything else at this stage, just starting to think about some of those values and principles is going to be hugely beneficial in driving a shift towards business agility. So can you start to value collaboration with your customers, perhaps more than you have done before? Can you bring the customer into your process or the customer into your development process better? Can you collaborate with each other better? Can you value your interactions a bit more as team members rather than just trying to go through processes? So thinking about some of those values and principles is going to help you to become more agile in the way that you do things. So let's talk about a couple of methods. Amy, why don't you talk to us about a maturity assessment? What is a maturity assessment? Why is it useful if we're adopting or trying to action some business agility in our organisation?
Yeah, absolutely. So maturity assessments are a great way for us to understand how an organisation is doing in comparison to some of the key things that they set themselves up for when they want to kind of focus on business agility. So we'll always, when we're looking at transforming a way an organisation works, we always want to try and encourage the use of maturity assessments. And they are not the same for every organisation. They will focus in on the key aspects that an organisation is trying to achieve. So if they want to improve employee engagement, this will be one of the metrics they look at. If they want to improve speed to market, this will be one of the metrics they look at. And ultimately, they can be done in different ways. We can do surveys, we can kind of go out and have an assessment done by the Agile experts. For example, an Agile coach might complete a maturity assessment, and it just looks at the different levels that a team or an organisation goes through to see where they are versus specific areas.
So it's an assessment of where we're at versus where we want to be and just looking at the gaps.
Exactly. There's also lots of tools out there now that allow organisations to assess their level of maturity versus other people in the industry as well. So they can look at how agile they are. So, a financial institution can look at how agile they are compared to a whole bunch of data on other financial institutions. So they can really start to understand is where they are maybe leading or lagging behind others, where they might get competitive advantage from. But ultimately, it gives them a really good indication of what's going well and where they might want to improve. And as with anything, these assessments are brilliant as long as we do something with the information. So that kind of leads us on to action planning. So Ben, tell us a little bit more about how a maturity assessment might kind of lead into some action plans.
Yeah, so with an action plan, we're really trying just to define what is our current state and what do we want our future state to be. So with a maturity assessment, and we've done this with lots of organisations and teams, is you go in and you say, maybe here's a number of areas of good business agility or a number of factors which contribute to good business agility. And you might say, we're doing this really well, but we're struggling or we haven't quite done that. So then the area that we haven't quite conquered yet would then go into our action plan where we'd say, hey, maybe we're not very good at collaborating with our customers. Maybe we're really good at delivery, we can deliver fast, but we don't always fully bring the customer into that process. So maybe we struggle to deliver stuff that the customer loves first time. So maybe our action plan is how do we involve the customer more? So maybe we're going to start doing some more design sprints, or maybe we're going to start doing some more customer feedback testing sessions, whatever it is that you need to do to plug the gap. So when we talk about defining goals, we're really defining, as well as our business goals, so what is it that we need our product to do for our customer, or what is it that we need to deliver for the business? What is our goal for implementing business agility? And you probably can't do everything at once. So it's good to go, what's the one thing we can focus on for this next short period of time that's going to help us take a step forward in business agility? So whether that's adopting a framework, adopting one of the values, getting better at a certain practice, clearly define that goal. The second thing, more kind of strategically and tactfully, is what frameworks could you adopt, or what could you do at a broader level that's going to help you to be better as a team? So, things like retrospectives, and we've spoken about feedback loops. We've also spoken about applying work in progress limits. What are those like broader, more powerful tactics and processes you can implement that are going to help you to deliver faster, to deliver better, to deliver in a way that's more effective for the team? So what is it like strategically and tactically you're going to implement that's going to help you to adopt business agility better? And finally, we just want to mention having accountability and a timeline. So with your plan, saying that we want to do this by 2028 maybe isn't as helpful as saying we want to do this by next quarter. And a lot of business agility focuses on shorter, more iterative delivery. We want to get fast feedback. We want to deliver things quicker. We want to keep up with the pace of the world, which when we started this course, we spoke about ever-changing markets and customer needs and technology. So we want to be quick. So having a timeline, a clear timeline of those gaps we've maybe seen in our maturity assessment and the things we want to work on, maybe some of the broader frameworks, tools and practices, and saying we want to achieve these things, or we want to implement these things and see some results in this time frame, ensuring that we've got a strategy and a plan to execute that is really important.
3 key takeaways. Business agility acceleration requires a cultural shift, lean agile practices, and leadership support. 2. Maturity assessment tools help evaluate and improve business agility. 3. Action plans with clear goals, strategies, and accountability fast track agility enhancement.